All right, listen, you crazy fucker. I totally didn't see that coming. Look, I know there's people who are Bitcoin only, right? And sometimes I wonder how Bitcoin only they are. But you've come out and you said, get on zero.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I'm going to go all Bitcoin, right? God, I got so many questions. Where shall I start? I tell you where I start. Just like, why you do this, man?
Yeah.
Like, fair play, but what?
Yeah. No, 100%. I think,
and when did you start?
Pretty recently, I would say, I think November 2021. And we can talk about all the...
What was the price?
That was the top,
Oh, yeah,
right?
exactly. It was like the top. So it's a great example of like, hey, this kind of still works. I mean, it's totally fine.
Okay.
You know, it kind of sounds like cope, but it actually is, it's totally fine. I'm totally great.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm wrecked.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, but it's kind of like if you think about the user journey of people coming into Bitcoin, right? For the first time, they'll come in and they'll be like, "Oh, this is a investment. I'm gonna hedge and put 1%." And then you read some stuff, and your conviction increases, and you're 5%, and then 10%, and then 50%, and then you read an article from Pierre Richard, and you're like, "Oh, this is not an investment. This is cash. Like this is savings." So you're like, "Okay, cool. I'll put all my savings into Bitcoin." But there's still that last bit of like your checking account, like you're moving around money. And I think in an inflationary environment, you can kind of tell that the time you hold fiat currencies just like decreases and decreases and decreases and decreases. So like if you're in Venezuela, you want to hold bolivars for like the shortest amount of time possible.
So when I went out there, I don't know if you know, I went out there a couple
Yeah.
years ago, made a film, and I with Crypto Bastardo. And he's in this situation that's slightly different in that he needs bolivars from day to day, also needs dollars at times, but he holds all his money in Bitcoin, and he would just transfer out for the bolivars he needed on a weekly basis. And he said, even when the price is crashing, I'm still going up in bolivars.
Exactly. No, and that's such a great insight. And to your point, he's holding, what did you say, for a week? Like bolivars for a week or something like that?
Yeah, he gets what he needs for the week.
Exactly. So I think, at least in my opinion, the sort of the get on zero thought process is, what if you take that to the logical extreme and say, what if there's a way to hold Bitcoin only as your money and be completely sidestep financial debasement and have better financial privacy, but at the same time, you can be interoperable with the legacy fiat financial networks, right? That's an interesting concept to me.
Well, so what are the rules of the game here? You only hold Bitcoin?
So I only hold Bitcoin, but I think one interesting nuance there is, at least in my opinion, I don't think get on zero fiat means you can't have a car or a house or stocks or anything like that.
A chair.
Exactly, a chair or a cow, like half a cow in your freezer. Like I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think it's just a mental model of thinking about like rethinking the role of fiat currency. So specifically fiat currency.
Well, there's certain things you can't do without fiat currency. Like holding a house is absolutely fine because you want to live in a house, but I'm just want to get to the specifics of the rules. So you only have Bitcoin.
Yeah.
You get paid in Bitcoin?
Exactly. So I think before we get into the specifics,
Okay.
it's useful to understand or to try and get the mental model of like what we're talking about
Yeah.
with payment rails, right? So sats, obviously we know, can move on Bitcoin native payment rails.
Yep.
So Lightning, on-chain, all that kind of stuff. And dollars can move on a fiat legacy payment rail. So PayPal, ACH, FedWire, all that type of stuff. So the idea is, here's the mental model. It's like, what if dollars can be a payment rail, just one of the many payment rails, to move Bitcoin, which is your cash, through space? So, and I think the reason for talking about that mental model, even if it's not very specific, is when you understand the why, it becomes very easy to deal with the how. And we'll talk about the how we will. But when you get the why, it's like now your conviction is like airtight. Like even risks like fiat currency exchange fluctuation, they don't shake your conviction because you understand the why.
Okay, give me the why again. Give me the hard why.
Yeah. So the why is you want every sat that you're holding to be, you want to be able to sidestep financial debasement, monetary debasement completely. And have better financial privacy and all that kind of stuff. But you still, to your point, a lot of expenses are in dollars, so you need to be able to be interoperable, right? So, your chat with Jack Mallers of Strike, fascinating stuff, and everyone's talking about how the Bitcoin network can be this awesome payment rail to move dollars. So dollar to dollar with Bitcoin as a payment rail. And that's awesome. It's so cool. What if we flip that around? What if we said, in addition to that, there's another alternative where you have Bitcoin to dollar or Bitcoin, and you have the dollar, which like just imagine like a cart, and he just picks up the Bitcoin and moves it to the person who wants the dollars. So there's a payment rail to move your Bitcoin through space, and it's an interesting conversation we can chat about. But it's like, at what point, like what even is a medium of exchange anymore? If you want dollars and I'm giving you Bitcoin, what is the medium of exchange? Or with Strike, if I send you dollars and you get Bitcoin, what is the medium of exchange? I don't know anymore. It's like it's all payment rails. It's like, so what are you holding and what is the payment rail? And what are you receiving? It's
a little bit like like with Google Translate, they've taken to that point whereby I can speak into it. I can speak into English, and say you're a German, you can have German come out to you. But you can choose whatever language it comes out to you. Is it like that? Is that I can put in any, if we think of currencies as like languages, I can put any currency language in, and you can have any currency language you want at the other end.
Bingo. I think that's exactly how I think about it. I only hold Bitcoin. And if you like, the way I think about it is whether you're buying a cup of coffee or you're paying for rent, you and your counterparty, you have a mutual choice to use legacy, slow, less private fiat networks, or you have a choice to use superior, fast, private Bitcoin networks. And in the meantime, it might take them some time to convince them, but in the meantime, you want to be interoperable. You don't want to be like Roger Ver and beg them to upgrade, right? You're interoperable. In the meantime, you convince slowly over time, their conviction increases. Like we don't need to wait for legal tender in the US. We don't need to do that. You can do this today. You can be on Bitcoin 100%. So.
Wow. We don't actually want Bitcoin to be legal tender in the US. We had Aaron Daniel here yesterday. If you don't know him, he's a lawyer based here, and he's quite the expert on the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and he's been looking at legal tender rights and also where Bitcoin plays within the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And he brought out, was it the 10th Amendment?
Yeah, 10.1, I think it was.
Yeah, I'm going to get some things wrong here. I'm British.
Yeah.
Get a lot wrong.
I don't think I know either.
But it's something in there where it says states shall not create their own legal tender apart from being able to coin gold or silver.
Right.
And he was explaining both the argument for that if the founding fathers were writing that today, they may include Bitcoin within that because Bitcoin shares the properties of gold. There's no central party. Yeah. It's transparent. It's scarce. Whereas what that part of the Constitution was trying to avoid was states creating their own fiat currencies and then essentially printing money and attacking other states. So that you had to have a federal currency and no states' currencies. But if you have gold and silver coined, you can't really do that. And so he was saying Bitcoin would fit within that. But he also argued the other side where
the wording was like it can't be anything but gold and silver.
Yeah. And so he was saying, well, yeah,
it's whether you take the literal definition.
Yeah, it was very specific to being.
Yeah. So he argued both sides, and then we got to the end of it, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I don't think Bitcoin should be made legal tender."
What was his argument for that?
He said it would reduce freedom.
There's definitely some arguments there where people just don't want the state involved at all.
He said basically exactly that. It was like, if this is the money that separates money and state, like why do you want to include the state?
Yeah. And honestly, that's fair. And like when we talk about how I'm doing this and how many other people are doing this, we can get into like why it's not super a big deal. Like it would be nice, but it's not really changing my behavior at all.
Yeah, he thinks there's other things that can give regulatory clarity and make life better. The tax rules, for example, one of the most important ones. Shit, that's another thing we're definitely gonna have to talk about with that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, he was like he I can't remember exactly how he explained it, but he said by making Bitcoin legal tender, you're essentially reducing freedom because the state becomes involved in it. Just leave it, separate it out. So I understand why you're doing it, but I want to go back to the rules a little bit. So at the point you made the decision, did you then go into your bank accounts and just literally empty it into Bitcoin?
Yeah, actually. So I'm not sure if they're still a sponsor, but one of your sponsors at the time, LVL Level.
Yeah.
Chris, great guy. I started using their product, and
Is that because you heard about it on the show?
that was part of it. That was part of it. Yeah.
There you go.
It was. That was. I was like, oh man, it's on Pete's podcast.
Marketing works.
All right. Let's see.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, it's
Well, their product is designed to allow people to do that.
exactly, and that's the direction they're going in, and their whole team is focused on that. And it's fascinating because what their vision is exactly what I'm saying. It's like Bitcoin is your money, and you're interoperable with ACH and Wire and all that. So to your point, when I found that product, I was like, all right, let me just take my checking account, dollars. It's not a ton. It was like it's a good amount of dollars, whatever the dollars I had.
Couple $100,000.
Yeah, a couple $100K, a couple million.
A couple of million.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, market buy, screw it.
Done.
Yeah, done. And then I was like, and now obviously when I say I'm 100%, there's like maybe $10 in my wallet or something.
Well, I was going to come back to that. So no, I've got a logical
yeah.
way to work through this. So you did that.
Yeah.
Did you get rid of your bank account?
No, exactly. Because Level in some ways is a bank account. Like it's a Bitcoin bank.
No, but like, don't tell the bank because of because of privacy. But like Chase, whoever.
Oh.
Were you with a bank like that?
Yeah.
And did you get rid of it?
Exactly. So I was using Ally Bank.
Okay.
And the only reason I haven't gotten rid of it is because, well, it's zero. The balance is zero. The only reason I haven't gotten rid of it is just like logistical reasons. Like Level doesn't have check deposit yet. So I was like, if someone gives me a check, I need a way to be interoperable with checks. So let me, deposit.
And is there another thing with that, like credit scores? Like in the UK, we have something called credit scores, and the credit score is based on a number of different factors. Like, have you had a mortgage and have you always made payments? Have you got a bank account? How long have you had it for? If you separate yourself from the financial system, you're going to separate yourself from credit scores. Now, I'm immediately figuring out the answer to that is Bitcoin doesn't need credit scores because you over collateralize with certain things. But that is something on my mind. Why would I if I was you, why would I want to keep my bank account? Checks, yes. Well, you say that. My bank, actually, Revolut, don't accept checks because they don't have branches.
Yeah, and Level doesn't either as of today.
Yeah, so there's so it's not for checks. I'm trying to think.
I've never received a check in my life.
What?
Never ever received a check or written a check.
In the Bay Area, I had to pay rent with checks. This was like 2 years ago. Yeah, it's madness.
You've never used a check?
I've never had a checkbook. I've never had a checkbook. I've never received a check.
That's really strange to me.
I'm jealous.
I'm a good 3 or 4 years younger than you. So. How old are you?
I'm very young. I'm under 30.
His age starts with a 2. Yeah, so like checkbooks were like a thing when I first got a bank account. You had to have them, but I've also had them because I've had companies when you write checks. I mean, I haven't written a check in a long time, but I've received them. Like there's a couple of things with and if you're with an energy company, they overcharge you every month to make sure you're always in credit, and then when you close out, they send you a check at the end. And I got a dividend from a company that was paid in a check as well. But then I sent to them, I said, I can't use this. And they did a bank transfer anyway. I mean, I can't believe you never used a check. Jesus.
Yeah.
So what else would I need a bank account for?
So, I mean, I can tell you what I use it for. So I'm pretty sure I pay my car payment with my ACH through ACH. You pay off the credit card bill with ACH. So I do use a credit card.
Okay.
So that was one of the things you talked about. And
okay, there's so much to get into here.
So,
Okay, so so there's only holding Bitcoin, and then there's a separate thing, which is detaching yourself from the financial rails. And they feel like two separate things.
Bingo.
Is the goal to do both?
The goal is to do whatever you feel like doing. So the whole point is to not hold dollars. So in my case, I'm okay with, a little bit of KYC. I'm okay with using a credit card. It's not a problem for me. There are obviously, like, this is not a get on zero. It's a new term, but you have people like Max Hillebrand and Samurai Wallet and all those guys. They've been on zero before the hashtag was ever created. So they're like the OGs. I'm pretty sure Samurai Wallet doesn't have a bank account as far as I know. I think I saw him say that on Twitter.
So they just operate purely in... See, we definitely couldn't operate our business. So I tell you what we'll do at the end. We'll work through it. I'm gonna go through personal and business and where I think for me it'll be difficult. Because like I say, I think there's two things. There's get off zero and...
Get on zero.
Get on zero, and then there's be your own bank, separate yourself from it.
Yeah.
So you have a credit card, but interestingly, with the credit card, you're not only getting on zero, you're getting on negative there.
Bingo.
Ah,
So get on negative, I think is even cooler. If you're okay with the, being in the financial system and KYC and all that stuff, if you're okay with that, it's optimal to get on negative. Because then I don't like the word selling Bitcoin because I consider it using Bitcoin. I consider it spending Bitcoin.
yeah, that's fine.
But I rarely spend Bitcoin because as long as your expenses, and we'll get into this later, but as long as your expenses are less than your income, I rarely sell Bitcoin.
So if you plan because one of the things is I don't trade Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
I never look at the price and think, oh, it's low, I have to buy, or it's high, I need to sell.
Exactly.
Now, there are times I buy and sell and the price is a bit shit, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or the price is good, whatever. But I'm not let's put it a different way. I'm not an active trader.
Yeah.
So if I was living my life and I buy Bitcoin, I've got some money on the sidelines, okay, I want to buy. But usually I just buy spot, whatever the price is. I don't think, it's going to drop in a week or go up in a week.
Exactly.
And I'm stacking sats. If your income is higher than your outgoings, then you're always stacking.
Bingo.
Yes. And you're not thinking about trading. So do you run your expenses on your credit card and then at the end of the month you settle? Okay. So how do you so you work very hard, create some badass designs.
I think so, yeah.
You get to the end of the month, you get paid. How do you pay off your credit card?
So because, in this example, I'm using Level, but it could be any Bitcoin bank if someone's listening to this 2 years from now. Income comes in because, again, Level is both a dollar checking account and a Bitcoin checking account. Dollars come in, and then theoretically I instantly sell it I sell the dollars for Bitcoin. And then, in my example, income comes in and then I instantly pay off my credit card.
Yeah.
Right. And then whatever's left is just swept into Bitcoin.
Huh.
So if you take an abstracted view, it looks like what I'm doing is I'm swapping into Bitcoin and then selling again and doing all this. But that's just it's like the meme version of that to get the point across. Technically under the hood, what's happening is, you're still holding zero fiat, but dollars come in, pay off all your expenses on the same day. So your volatility risk
don't get paid in Bitcoin, you get paid in dollars.
Paid in dollars, exactly.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to go and beg Unchained to change all their accounting systems. And it's like, you guys want to use that because it makes sense. I agree. That's totally fine. I'm interoperable and I can do that.
Because you got Level, they make the whole thing easy.
Exactly. Level makes the whole thing easy. And they're working on making it better. So I'm glossing over some of the details. Like automation is still not there yet. So technically I have to go in and put the amount in. And it's a little janky. And it's a new startup, right? That's how it goes. But Chris has a good, I think, head on his shoulders, and he's going in that right direction. He's going to work on automation and fix all those problems.
So that's the credit card. That's cool. What about, say if you have a card payment, you don't usually put a credit card in there. It's usually a direct debit from a bank account. Or can you?
Oh, you mean for a car payment?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a car payment, I put in a direct bank account and routing number. And that account and routing number is Level. Exactly.
Okay, so Level gives you all of this.
Exactly. Level's basically, I don't know anything about their backend, but from my understanding, it's basically a wrapper on a legacy fiat bank and then a Bitcoin bank, like a Bitcoin account, and you have access to both of them in one app, basically.
So that's the thing. Like most of us operate our lives with day-to-day payments, and then like at the end of the month, all those regular payments, whether it's your utility bill, your car payment, your mortgage. Now, if you can put them all in Level, your dollars come in, they pay them out, the remainder goes into Bitcoin. Then the next month starts.
100%.
Okay.
Exactly. And while you're doing that, you're slowly building up this long-term savings balance of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is saving, as Pierre Rochard says.
Bingo. And exactly like Pierre says, the point of cash is to hedge against future uncertainty. So over a long enough period of time, assuming you have enough savings, it's okay if you quote unquote sell your Bitcoin. Again, I don't consider it selling. You're spending your Bitcoin. Exactly. The whole point of holding Bitcoin is to spend it on a future date when there's uncertainty. So that's the way I view it. It's, income comes in, everything is held in Bitcoin, and then when you need it, you spend your Bitcoin. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Now you've explained it like that, in that as long as my outgoings are less than my income, I'm always stacking.
Exactly.
I always end up every month with more Bitcoin. my trajectory is fine. One of the things is though is like sometimes we're in very clear bull markets and sometimes we're in very clear bear markets. I think bull markets are even clearer because we don't want to accept bear markets. I think the psychology is a bull market starts, we're in a fucking bull market, let's go crazy. And like even now, when we went dip to 19, you go to 22, it's the bull market starting again, I'm fucking in. Whereas the bear market's like we've dropped from 65 to 40. No, it's coming back. It's coming back. So there's a psychology around all of this.
Absolutely.
Whereby you can't, it's going to be harder for you to maximize sats predicting price. So am I guessing you don't care about price?
Exactly. I don't care about price. Bitcoin's my money. And over a long enough period of time, the value goes up. Like if you've been stacking for a few years, like 4 years or 5 years, I mean, when Trump got elected, price was like $600, not 60,000, $600. If you think about that, that's mind-blowing stuff.
Was it 2016 he came?
I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that, or you can look it up, but I'm pretty sure it was something like insanely low.